Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your weekly general tarot scope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So these are the general energies, trends and themes for the week ahead for all of us. So I'm going to look at the macrocosm, the microcosm. I'm also going to look at world events. We're also going to take a look at the themes and the energy of the week. With that said, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to pop these to the side, and we are going to use. So I'm going to pop those over there, and I'll pop those over there. So for the first set of cards that I'm going to pull, what we're looking at here are the overarching energies, trends and themes of the week ahead and how they might be affecting all of us in some way, shape or form. So let's have a look and see what comes up for all of us. So for the first card out, we've got the Ace of Cups, love that, with the Chariot card, okay, and the Moon card. So first things first, this is a lot of water, all right? Like that's the first sort of element that comes through when we look at this. That is a lot of water. We've got the Ace of Cups, water. We've got the Chariot card, Cancer energy. We've got the Moon card, Pisces energy. So there's a lot of water here straight out of the gate. So this week is very much going to be about the emotions. It's going to be about the feels. What I find really interesting, and my feeling is, obviously we're off the back of the eclipse now. We're out of eclipse we're out of one eclipse energy and we're heading towards another. Now, if you've been with me long enough, you know that the period in between the two eclipses is what I call between the magic and the madness. It's always a really interesting time because time itself tends to work differently. People get a little bit weird and wonderful. The experiences that we have also get a little bit weird and wonderful. And it's because we're in between, right? We're in between one point and another. So you're not where you used to be, that's gone, right? And you're not quite at where you're going to be, and you're somewhere in that really weird space in between. Because we're in the eclipse portal at this moment in time, I think we're all going to be in the feels in some way, shape or form. Now, what's really interesting about this is when the Chariot card came up, so when the Ace of Cups and the Chariot card, when the Chariot card came up, the first thing that I thought was, whatever we have held to in our heart space, whatever we have really put our heart and soul into, something around that now gets to see a moment of success or gets to see a moment of victory. But it's tempered by the Moon card, which suggests that there's either an energy of antiquity about this thing, which is really interesting given the fact that Saturn is now retrograde and back in the sign of Pisces, where it's going to wrap up the last of its energies or the last thing that it needs to do. It's all for all of us in some way, shape or form. Saturn being back in the sign of Pisces, I think it gets back to like 26, maybe 24, 25. I can't remember off the top of my head. But by the time we get to literally Valentine's Day of 2026, Saturn will be back in Aries. So it's there sort of wrapping this up. And my feeling is, and the reason I mention this is because the Moon card is the past, the Moon card being Pisces energy as well. It's about our instincts, it's about our intuition, it's about the things that drive us on an instinctual level that sometimes are more of a reaction. Now, my feeling about this, and the reason I bring it up is, we've had this week, we've got this energy of success, of something coming to fruition, something that maybe we had to fight for or invest a lot of emotional energy in. And yet the beauty of this, or the way that it sort of really moves forward for us, is this Moon card is basically saying, whatever it is that you have overcome at this point, it really closes out a loop. So there is a feeling of endings and completions and culminations here in some regard, and it starts in the heart space and it really continues. So it's like your emotions, or our emotions, the world's emotions, are going to be very much to the forefront at this time. So, I have no doubts, as I say, that we are all going to be in the fields in some way, shape, or form. That is, ooh, okay, there it goes, throwing them all over the place. That is how it shapes up. Now, interestingly enough, it's 3 cards that have popped out. So as you know, for whenever I'm talking about something like this, I always pull 3 cards, and 3 cards have literally just thrown themselves out of the deck. Those 3 cards are, of course, the Chariot. Those 3 cards are the World card and the Hierophant card. Now, these cards in specific, or this triplet that I pull, this is about the wider world stage, what we're going to, so this is the energies of the week. This is the happenstance, right? The details, what's happening on the wider world stage that we're likely to see play out as it affects all of us in some way, shape, or form. So we've got the Chariot card, again, victory and success or advancement of plans. We've got the World card, which literally represents the world. And then we've got the Hierophant card that represents society or the status quo. Something is shifting this week. Something powerful is really shifting. And on the wider world stage, we are very likely to see this in a very real or a very tangible kind of way. Now, something about communities within the Middle East. So, obviously there's a few things going on there at this moment in time. I do wonder if this week something is put in place, and the reason I know we're talking about the Middle East is because the Chariot card is the Middle East. It's your Moroccos, your Saudi Arabias, your Dubai, all the stuff with Palestine, Israel, etc. All of that is very much there as well. Now, because we've got the World card, this is like what the world wants, what the people want is peace, right? Those of us on the ground anyway. The puppet masters at the top don't want that because, peace doesn't make money. Listen, you guys know me by now. I speak as I find, right? I'm going to tell you the truth the whole way down. Now, the fact that we've got the Hierophant card here suggests that a bigger or larger structure of some sort steps in, or maybe something is put in place as a treaty, a conversation, maybe an interaction. There's a dampener on war at the moment anyway, because Mars is in the sign of Libra, right? So even if it is a roughshod peace, there is a need or a desire for it in some way, shape, or form. There's an action towards diplomacy. Now, I look at these cards and, on the wider world stage, it's also possible that we could see a record broken by a company, or a company that we consider corporate or maybe even oligarchical in some way, is going to report a profound or another larger success. Another way that this is also going to play out is I would not be surprised if there are bigger conversations going on between governments about how they can bring things together. There's going to be a lot of talk about unity, victory, success, and also, with such an emphasis on Cancerian energy as well, it's also possible that this whole thing about, the drive for patriotism, etc., if you didn't see it, last year I put out, earlier this year, I put out a video with Frank Clifford, one of my astrology teachers, and we talked about the fact that patriotism and the there was going to be a bigger drive towards that kind of thing. If you know anything about the UK at this moment in time, it's awash with people putting the British and the St. George's flag up on all of the lampposts. It's massive conversations happening here. And to be honest with you, as a person who is descendant from immigrants, right, on both sides of my family, even though I was born here and, I'm very much a part of British culture and society, I'm very proud of that fact. I do feel a little bit shaken up by a lot of what's happening here, because the rhetoric is very different from a lot, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of it really is about patriotism because the stars are reflecting that. However, some of the rhetoric and the people or factions or facets of society that are jumping on the bandwagon, it definitely has a feel, it definitely has a texture, it definitely comes under the banner of a specific word. I'm not going to get into that, right? That being said, I do think that we are going to see some kind of victory for the people. I think we're going to see bigger conversations about how to put things in place and structures. I do think that we're going to see, hopefully, a downing of tools, if you catch my drift. Okay, so if I was going to say, if you catch my grift, random. All right, so let's get into it and see what comes up here for the days of the week, right? What's happening Monday through Friday? So on Monday, we start the week with the Devil card and the Ten of Swords, right? So here, it does feel like Monday, somebody is going to either highlight or be highlighted for a bit of a scare tactic, right? The Devil card is addiction. The Ten of Swords can be arguments, bust-ups, etc. It's like something reaches a head on Monday and it brings things to totality, finality, or a close. It's a crescendo moment in some way, shape, or form. It wouldn't surprise me as well if we see something, and I touch wood, I really hope I'm wrong on this front, but I really hope that we don't see something that is so horrific that it kind of makes everybody just go, yeah, enough. Like, not cool. Whatever side of the fence you stand on with whatever, like, not fucking cool, right? I'll be interested to see how this kind of shapes up. Now, for Tuesday, we have the Moon card. So we've seen this as part of the energies. Something's coming full cycle or rounding off here on Tuesday. And we've got this with the Hanged Man. This is a lot of water. It's also a lot of Neptunian energy. I would also say, do you remember last week I talked about something happening on the seas or the oceans? Now, I'm filming this at a time where we haven't seen what's happened on the wider world stage in terms of that prediction that I made yet. So I'm really intrigued to see what the follow-on is from it, but there's something about the waters, the oceans, the seas. There's something about this that's coming to light at this moment in time. And here on Tuesday, there'll be some form of confusion around spiritual matters and or religious sects in some way, shape or form. There may be there'll be a need for clarity. And I will say, whatever communications you have to do, unless you absolutely have to, Tuesday is not a day for this. All right, Tuesday is a day for observation. It's not a day for jumping in. On Wednesday, we have the Eight of Cups with the Magician card. Okay, so this is where Wednesday we will see a clarification around messages that have been put forward, but it's like where we the people or a specific group of people haven't been given the truth. So like this is where a lie is discovered or it kind of unravels or falls apart in some way. I will also say this would be a strike or when I say strike, this is a mass walkout of some sort happens on Wednesday here. There'll be a lot of people that are either clashing with their employer, there's something that they have to say, and because the Magician card is the thing that they're walking away from, it suggests to me that this is what we would consider like a dynasty. It's like people or employees are breaking with what the tradition or the norm is around this thing. And I think for, in a lot of ways, this week seems to, I think the title for this week is We've All Just Had Enough. There seems to be, we're just off the back of a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is the 12th house. It's the 12th sign. It's the end of the zodiac. It was a full moon, right? On top of that, Saturn is back in that sign, wrapping up an older cycle. It kind of feels like this week is really the ramifications of whatever the endings are that have been wrought by that Saturnian energy. For Thursday, we've got the Death card. Okay. with the Nine of Cups. On a personal level, and I mean on a very personal level, do not be surprised if you have visitations, dreams, or even apparitions of loved ones, right? Loved ones that have passed, people that are now in the spirit world, may come through for you really powerfully, right? You might wake up from a dream and be like, I swear they were still alive. You may wake up at 3 a.m. and find them at the foot of your bed. I have an uncle. I'm going to tell you this story. He only ever comes to me when things are rough, right? Like I never see him when times, and it's really funny because I have certain family members. Like I always say this, I'm not a medium, it's not my gift. However, my own loved ones that have passed come to visit me all the time. I know that, and what's really weird is I don't see them with my eyes, I just feel their spirit and I know straight away exactly who it is that's come in. When I'm reading for people, like when I'm reading tarot for people, sometimes even when I'm reading astrology charts for people, I will literally have an ancestor or a loved one of theirs come through and give a message. I still maintain I'm not a medium, it's not my gift. I did go to do a course on it just to see, and I learned a lot from that about, things that I was naturally already doing, but I wouldn't call myself a medium. Anyway, and I say this because if you are new to this kind of spirit contact, it can be really unnerving the first couple of times that it happens, especially if you're an adult, one that has suppressed your gifts or had them suppressed by family, conditioning, partner, all the things, right? Anyway, so I have this uncle who is no longer with us, and he only ever comes, like if I'm having like a really bad time in life, they're the only times he shows up. And it's not like I don't believe that he's doing this to me, I actually believe that he comes at those times as a protector for me. So I never forget the first time I ever saw him was actually like, kind of, I was in between wake and dreaming, but I was aware enough that, do you know what I mean? And I remember him just being stood like in the corner of my room, like arms folded, and I was like, shit, like even now, goosebumps. Like proper. Ugh. And every time he comes, whenever he comes, he's always either right by, like I'll open my eyes and he'll be stood there in front of me, or he'll be in the corner of my bedroom. It's a really, really strange phenomena. I say this because the death card with the Nine of Cups, this is some kind of spiritual healing and or protection that comes in, that will bring you eventually a lot of peace and a lot of protection. But if it's a first time for you, as I say, this stuff can be really unnerving. It can be really, really scary. And I will say to you, with those of you that are new to this kind of thing, you can talk to them. If you say to them, look, I know you're here for protection or for love or whatever, but you're really scaring me. I need you to go, and can you come back at a better time or whatever? They don't take offense, wherever they are, they're in a much better stead than we are at this moment in time. But you can speak to them in that way, right? And they'll listen to you. So yeah, if you find on Thursday you're having an experience like that and it freaks you out, again, you can say, look, I really need you to come back. You're scaring me right now, or whatever. If you're open to it and you can have a dialogue with them, then do. On the wider world stage, this will be a very different experience. I think this is going to be a big conversation about a group of people that have a racial or social wound around historical deaths. I think this is going to be a big topic in the news in some way, shape, or form on Thursday, and it will be interesting to see how it kind of unfolds. On Friday, we have, I'm confirming this, Thursday and Friday, right? We've got the High Priestess and we have the Star card. On a personal level, on Friday, manifesting energy is going to be high. Pay attention to what you're saying. Pay attention to the words that you're using. Be very intentional about what you are speaking about on Friday, all right? Because the energy is very, very potent. Now, that being said, this is where something comes forward. I think we're going to see a disclosure on Friday around something that flies around in our skies, maybe a discovery about something that they found in our solar system. It's like whatever secret has been occulted will now be, it will become common knowledge in some way. I can't wait to see what that's going to be. Now, for the weekend, we have the Five of Swords and the Fool card. Look, there's that saying, casting pearls before swine. Over the weekend this week, I want you to really think about picking your battles. Because, sometimes when you get into it with certain people who clearly either don't have the intelligence, the knowledge, the wisdom, or the fucking crayons, quite frankly. Right, like I don't have the patience or the crayons to explain this to you today. All right, if you can see that, why bandy words with somebody who quite clearly just doesn't have the intelligence to have certain types of conversations. All right, so just be mindful about that on the wider world stage. This could be like a moment where something looks like it's about to kick off and everybody's just like, you know what, at this point we're really not fucking interested. You can't push us any further. We haven't got the capacity for anything else. So it's like, you know what, it's like maybe something comes up and it fizzles out really fast because everyone's just like, dude, you know what, really? Not now. So finally, for our Human Design Oracle deck message for the week, we have the Gate 28 and Possible. I maintain the manifesting energy is high this week, in particular around Thursday and Friday, and for that reason you want to be really extra intentional about that moment in time. And then finally, the other thing with this card is it's basically to say that whatever you once thought was impossible now really is possible. And so you really want to keep your eyes on what you do want to create that you thought maybe once upon a time you weren't going to be able to. Now you suddenly may be able to. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you haven't signed up for membership on this channel, you can do so on the link in the description box below. You are getting members only content. You are getting members only early release content. You're getting members only live stream each month where I pull cards for the people in the live stream. And as if you didn't know, if you are not on my mailing list, you are not getting my weekly emails. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I send out emails where I talk about everything from the astrology to the numerology. You will be getting things in those emails, including discount codes for my services that you will not get anywhere else. So with that said, be sure to hit the link in the description box to sign up for that. And with that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it all shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.